Carving friends? All right, this is chapter 6. So the president just asked for a direct link to talk to the Space Hotel and to talk to the people, to talk to Charlie and Mr. Wonka and all those people on the Space Hotel. Chapter 6, Invitation to the White House. The President of the United States will now address you, the loudspeaker voice in the lobby of the announced the loudspeaker voice in the lobby of the Space Hotel. Grandma Georgina's head peeped cautiously out from under the sheets. Grandma Josephine took her fingers out of her ears, and Grandpa George lifted his face from the pillow. You mean he's actually going to speak to us? Whispered Charlie. Shh, said Mr. Wonka. Listen. Dear friends, said the well-known presidential voice over the loudspeaker. Dear friends, welcome to Space Hotel USA. Greetings to the brave astronauts from Mars and Venus. Mars and Venus, whispered Charlie. You mean he thinks we're from... Shh, said Mr. Wonka. He was doubled up with silent laughter, shaking all over and hopping from one foot to the other. Look how much Charlie and Grandpa Joe are laughing. They think this is hilarious. You've come a long way, the president continued. So why don't you just come just a tiny bit farther and pay us a visit down here on our humble little Earth? I invite all 8 of you to stay with me here in Washington as my honored guests. You could land that wonderful glass space machine of yours on the lawn in the back of the White House. We shall have the red carpet out and ready. I do hope you know enough of our language to understand me. I shall wait most anxiously for your reply. There was a click, and the president went off the air. What a fantastic thing, whispered Grandpa Joe. The White House, Charlie. We're invited to the White House as honored guests. Charlie caught hold of Grandpa Joe's hands, and the two of them started dancing round and round the lobby of the hotel. Mr. Wonka, still shaking with laughter, went and sat down in the bed and signaled everyone to gather around close so they could whisper without being heard by the hidden microphones. They're scared to death, he whispered. They won't bother us any more now. So let's have that feast we were talking about, and afterward we can explore the hotel. Aren't we going to the White House? Whispered Grandma Josephine. I want to go to the White House and stay with the president. My dear old Dotty Dumpling, said Mr. Wonka, you look as much like a man from Mars as a bedbug. They'd know at once they'd been fooled. We'd be arrested before we could say, how do you do? Mr. Wonka was right. There could be no question of accepting the president's invitation, and they all knew it. But we've got to say something to him, Charlie whispered. He must be sitting down there in the White House this very minute, waiting for an answer. Make an excuse, said Mr. Bucket. Tell him we're otherwise engaged, said Mrs. Bucket. Ask him for a rain check, said Grandpa Joe. You are right, whispered Mr. Wonka. It is rude to ignore an invitation. He stood up and walked a few paces from the group. For a moment or two he remained quite still, gathering his thoughts. Then once again Charlie saw those tiny, twinkling, smiling wrinkles around the corners of his eyes. And when he began to speak, his voice this time was like the voice of a giant, deep and devilish, very loud and very slow. In the quelchy, quaggy Sogmire, in the mashy, midious harshland, at the witchy hour of gloomness, all the grubs come oozing home. You can hear them softly sliming, hissing, glissing o'er the slubber, all those oily, boily bodies oozing onward in the gloam. So start to run, oh skid and daddle, through the slumber, slush and slossle, skip, jump, hop, and try to skedaddle. All the grobes are on the roam. In his study, 240 miles below, the president turned white as the White House. Jumping jackrabbits, he cried. I think they're after us. Silence, said Mrs. Tibbs. Go stand in the corner. In the lobby of the Space Hotel, Mr. Wonka had merely paused in order to think up another verse, and he was just about to start off again when a frightful, piercing scream stopped him cold. The screamer was Grandma Josephine. She was sitting up in bed and pointing with a shaking finger at the elevators at the far end of the lobby. She screamed a second time, still pointing, and all eyes turned toward the elevator. The door of one of the left was sliding slowly open, and the watchers could clearly see that there was something thick, something brown, something not exactly brown, but greenish brown, something with slimy skin and large eyes squatting inside the elevator. What do you guys think it might be? Here's a picture of it. Oh my goodness. What do you think they just found? I think they just found a real space alien. What do you think they're going to do? What would you do if you found a space alien in an elevator? I have no idea what I would do. All right, my friends, that's where we're going to stop for the night. Bye.